Welcome back, MTGO here. Today we are going to be trying out one of the first 5.0 lists from MTGO. So there was the Standard League that took place on September 7th. There's a number of decks. Quite a few were actually just old decks, which is a bit discouraging, but there's a few that are trying out some new cards. This is the closest, I would say, to a new archetype and had the highest density of new cards in it. And this is a Golgari Midrange. So green-black midrange in a shock to no one. The black cards that were incredibly powerful pre-Wilds of Eldraine continue to be very powerful, but we got some new additions to supplement the deck itself. So, kind of going over the cards, this type of archetype is usually referred to as the Rock historically. It's kind of a control-y mid-range deck, and we're using new cards. We'll highlight those first. So we have Mosswood Dreadknight, 2-mana, 3/2 Trampler that you can cast for the Dread Whisper Adventure side, so you get to draw a card and lose a life. And then when it dies, you may cast it from your graveyard as an adventure until the end of your next turn. So a really good recursive card that could keep putting pressure on our opponent. So pairing that with Tenacious Underdog, you have effectively like 6 cards that could keep coming back. We also are playing Lord Skitter, Sewer King. So 3-mana, 3/3, enters a battlefield, exile up to 1 card from target player's graveyard, or target opponent's. In the beginning of your combat each turn, you create a 1/1 rat token with it can't be blocked. So this lets you kind of go wide. I'm really curious to see how this plays over Graveyard Trespasser, which would kind of be my go-to in this slot. So we're going to try it out, see how it plays out. We also have The End. So this is create your own ban list. You exile target creature, Planeswalker, and then strip out every copy of it from their deck, so you kind of remove it from play. We're also going to be playing a copy of Ashiok, Wicked Manipulator. Still have not cast this card, or had it cast against me. So if you would pay life while your library has at least that many cards in it, exile that many cards from the top of your library instead. So interesting way. I don't really see the utility in that, but look at the top 2 cards of your library, exile one of them, put the other in your hand. So card advantage. The minus, you create 2 of these nightmares that at the beginning of combat, if a card was put into exile this turn, you put a 1/1 counter on it, so progressively get larger. And then the ultimate is target player exiles top X cards of your library, where X is the total mana value of cards you own in exile. So kind of a win condition on its own. We also are playing Virtue of Persistence. 2-mana, -3/3, gain 2 life, and then 7-mana, beginning of your upkeep, we get to reanimate something from a graveyard. And we're supplementing this with just all the removal possible. Cut downs, Black Sun Zenith, which can also reanimate, Go for the Throats, Edicts, Terra Sunders. We got Liliana's in here for removal, Hand Hate, Shieldred, Sorin's, Duress for Hand Hate, Big Shieldred. Another thing I want to see, just with how the mana is kind of configured, if 3 Field of Ruins is too much in a 2-color deck, but we will see how that plays out. The sideboard, kind of going over that. More early removal and cut down, Duress as a way to do Hand Hate, Terra Sunder, catch-all removal, Phyrexian Arena for the grindier matchups. I'm always kind of impartial on Arena, being that it gets hit by Farewell in a lot of those same cards in which the matchup's already kind of bad, but we'll see how this plays out. We got some copies of Tranquil Frillback, just a utility card, destroys artifact enchantments, exile player's graveyard, or gains us life. The End, just more removal, Obstinate Bailoff for the aggressive decks, Thrun for the heavy counterspell decks, and another copy of Virtue. What I might want is, like, again, just somewhere in the 75, some access to Graveyard Trespassers. The big card that I want to see how it plays out is Lord Skitter. This card's, from everything I've seen, has been really good. We also have a copy of Nissa on the main, just to kind of go over the top. So let's take this to the ladder. It's still very early in Standard. The big thing, what we're doing is seeing what works, what doesn't. It's not necessarily claiming, this is the most broken deck. It's to see, okay, maybe 50% of these ideas work, but now we want to switch Graveyard Trespasser in, like I was saying on the beginning. A lot of it is just exploring the space to find a deck that works, especially as the meta itself is shaping up. So as we get queued into our first opponent, you'll see on the bottom right-hand corner, we are closing in on 10,000 subs on the channel. If you haven't done so already, free and easy to help join the channel, help subscribe, and help us reach the goal here. Okay, so opponents on the play, Double Glissa is basically a mall on its own. We do have Relentless Cottage, which is the other card that I forgot to mention. This hand's much better-ish. I think we keep Obviously, we need access to another land. Drawing a 7-drop against Dimir is not where we want to be. Drawing a Sheoldred is also not where we want to be. The fields will be good against like Myrex, so hopefully they play something like that. Okay, so Edict coming down. This was my concern with running so many Field of Runes. Okay, so just Esper control. So let's draw a card here. Hopefully they don't have a counter spell. How many lands is this deck playing? 25. And we drew a card, so a bit unlucky here. I am giving Standard a chance. I usually don't play too much Standard on the channel, as the format tends to be stale often, but also kind of just really unenjoyable play patterns, I find. So if Esper kind of continues these exile-based piles, and we're just not hitting lands, which is not helping. Wandering Emperor time. Void Rend. So try to draw a card here. Make disappear. Okay, so we did hit at least. Let's bring out a mosswood. If we could get Liliana out, it's not too bad. Even just hitting another land and getting Nissa going could be reasonable. They've already used one Edict as well as a Void Rend. This is a bit of the problem here. So I can Field of Ruin them. I think we're just going to duress here. We most likely lost this. We've missed way too many line drops against the control deck. Yeah. So let's just go to the next game. This is the miserable play experience. So these virtues don't do anything. Let's bring in the Thrends. Let's bring in the ends. Let's bring in the arena, the duresses. Maybe the Baloth. So get rid of White Suns. I think we still keep Terra Sunders in. They could be reasonable. Edict is fine because it hits the control elements. I think we just run it like that. There's maybe a case for Frillback, but let's run it like this. They will probably bring in like Chromhost Sea Shark, and we do want an answer to resolve like Emperor token, but notable thing I think we're going to do after this match is trim down to 2 Field of Ruins. Our deck does want the double block, and we're not really fielding early per se. This is a matchup where Trespasser can have utility, but counter spells against these type of archetypes usually feels pretty poor. I think we mulligan here. Okay, we'll keep this, put back Sheoldred. So I think here we do the draw this turn. Okay, so we hit the land, so next turn I can duress. See what's happening here. Temporary lockdown, lockdown. I think we're fine like this. As they go lockdown, they're 1-for-1ing me here, which isn't terrible. I now go Phyrexian Arena. I'm going to hold the duress for next turn because I want to be able to get a counterspell to resolve this Liliana. So here, let's see what's happening. They do have Otawara. Okay. So I think, especially because they don't have the ability to counter right now, we do this. And we just start plussing Liliana. This will get another card out of their hand. So they get rid of the lockdown here. They do have the option to bounce with Otawara and then counter on the way down. So let's see what they discard here. They get rid of a land. This is a 4/4. So I think we just start chunking in here. I'm expecting Liliana to be countered, but we're just going to start pumping in here. Okay, so because they brought the lockdowns, I think that's fine. We may want the frill back. I'm going to trim a Sheoldred. They have a lot of counters. In all honesty, I don't think Sheoldred's like super great here. I think we just want earlier removal. Because opponent's not going to make us discard necessarily. So let's lower our curve. So we can't trigger it off our own Liliana. Let's run it like that. Game 1, we have a lot of dead cards in terms of removal, where at least like their removal has hits for us. I don't love, like, them having temporary lockdown against us is fine. Okay, so these cottages will probably go quite well. Fortunately, the card draw here is not... I think we're gonna present the threat here. I want to start getting them to tap down, because if I could stick Arena, then I'm happy. So I do have the option here. I can Arena. It could get counterspelled. They come with Emperor. I then double spell next turn. I can Edict and card draw. I could just do Mosswood this turn. I think we just do Arena here. Okay, quick study. I kind of want them to play the Wandering Emperor, because if I could the end it, then I can steal every copy of it. Okay, so this is actually pretty solid. Can eat away at their hand here. Okay, so they siphon Insight. So Sunfall, Edict, Dissipate. So they have a lot of removal, but the removal's not great against us. So let's get rid of the counters. And let's just set up the draw for next turn. Okay, so they did find their Field of Ruin. They tapped it down, so... I want them to tap off some mana. So here I'm going to just plus, we'll get rid of a land on our side. They're going to Edict this anyways, but then they're down to 1 card. So the intent is to just grind them out. So the Field of Ruin is what they hit off ours. So they themselves are not playing Field of Ruins. Or if they are, I doubt they're playing Field of Ruins. Esper with the 3 colors is going to be pretty greedy. Okay, so if we could sneak Sorin down, it'll be nice. It's an interesting line. Because, like, Sorin just gets edicted, which I don't love. This plays me into... Because, like, I don't have enough lands to Lily Takenuma, which I also don't love. I think we just do this. Well, it does play me into Sunfaller Farewell. Okay, so taps him off that. Bit unfortunate. Because now they also get to Siphon Insight me. But I have a copy of Edict. I have a copy of the End. I'm just trying to get this out of their hand. Because even if they draw Liliana on their end, it's not the best. I have Edict for it. And then I also just have these from like a haste perspective. Okay, so another go for the throat. Draw a card here, hit our land drop. I'm just gonna hold the land up here. I should have probably played this, but I can field their field. I could also on upkeep just take them off black mana. So I've got a black source here. Okay, so they got another black. We got to be mindful of Arena in terms of how much we're taking. Okay, so they got rid of Edict, which is good because now I could stick Sorin. Okay. It's fine, I think. I think we take them off the blue source here. Okay, cool. So that's the second one. So now I get to go Sorin here.
For the sake of all innocent, I will not. I bring my own army.
And then just play the tap land. So now we have a creature land. We can start pressuring. We have a creature in play. They took my Thrun, but that's fine. Sacks a non-token. Cool. Value! Just out grinding them. We saw the value of like the moss dude there. Alrighty. Wasn't terrible against an Esper deck, 20 minutes. So we could see like in mirror situations where if we have the rat, like if they drew the rat to eat our graveyard cards, it could be pretty impactful. Alrighty. Play first. I think that's fine. Effectively 2 removal spells early, and then double draw with Moss into Liliana. Don't love that we have to use Takenuma early. Okay, soldiers. I want to hit the line drop, especially if they have Thalia here. Okay. It's a next turn play. I'll probably trade here. I think the early turns are important to trade. Yeah, especially if they're going wide. Could Lord Skitter. It does block what they're doing thus far. I do lose the Moss, but I don't think we could have afforded to draw here. I think this deck really wants 26 lines. We're very mana hungry. We can probably forego like a copy of Shieldred, play 2, or a copy of Glissa, I think, just being legendary. Okay, so let's get rid of Thalia here. Exile that. No attacks here. We're kind of bigger than them right now. They have Adeline. Okay, so they have Cathar here, which is a bit annoying. These rats not being able to attack feels pretty bad. Cut down's great. Okay, so we're definitely cutting down. We do want to play something on our turn. So I think the line... Get him to sack a creature here. Pass their turn, because I want to catch their creature in combat. Okay. I think we let Liliana die and then just eat their Hopeful Initiate, since it will get bigger. Now I tear asunder this, and then I attack in with me rats. So I have tear asunder if X is 5 or more. So if we hit a line, that's more utility, so... Let's just exile here. I'm gonna submit 0. They don't really reanimate things. And with this reanimation effect, I'm gonna want to be able to take their stuff. Oh, or less from your graveyard. Ah, that's unfortunate. Another initiate. Okay, Sorin's pretty solid. So they need a Brutal Cathar or Ossification here.
You can deal with my servant. I'm busy.
We're definitely adding a line to this deck. I think that's the biggest thing. Also not 100% sold on Black Sun's Twilight. I think here we protect Sorin. Because Sorin will just make another creature. I gain the life, I take off their bigger attacker. And now they have like the cheeky mouse here, but I think that's fine. That's actually really good too. So I can Sorin plus. I think we just minus Sorin. Virtue Hopeful Initiate, and then just hold up Field of Ruin. I should have attacked with these as a free attack. I guess they could have animated, but... Is this instant? Ooh, this is instant. I guess I should have waited for them to pump the mana, but it doesn't make too much of a difference. Okay. Ground them out, which is important. So now we just go like cut downs, the end, the other, basically just removal package, frill back's fine. I can take out Duresses. Don't think we want Liliana. Take out this. Take out Ashiok. Just lower the curve. Edict's fine. Go for the throat. Probably Terra Sunder's the worst of our removal package. Actually, the end is quite slow. Like, the Edict effect isn't great that we saw in that matchup because they go so wide. I think we just run it like this. Terra Sunder's at least targeted removal. They might be bringing in Invasion of Gobakan as well, so Terra Sunder can hit that. But I think getting game 1, especially when we were stumbling on lines, is pretty impactful. I think we keep this. I think I value the optionality here. Because if they go Thalia on 2, I'm going to want to kill the Thalia. Yeah. We might just have to play this out creature side. So I think we're just using this as a blocker here. The one thing too that we might want if like these go wide strategies are popular is access to sweeper. I think we're happy to trade here. I do think I want this back to hand. Because then next turn I can Shieldred. Obviously we'd have preferred to Shieldred there, but they're stumbling on lands. Okay, so that's basically unblockable for the turn, so it's worth noting with these mice. Okay, a lot of lands. Okay, so I think we get rid of announcement here. We have to do this on second main, so they do get access to the land. And then we draw Furl back. Okay, so let's auto pay here. And decline. Let's gain 4 life. Play underdog. Just pass the turn here. Kind of want this to die so I can start drawing cards. Punished. Okay, cut down's pretty nice here. Might be able, if they like double block funny, to take them off something here. But at the very least I get to draw a card here. Okay, so that'll be good for following turn. I think we just play out Takenuma here because I'm gonna want 5. I can bring back the Furl back, and then it enters the battlefield, and then we get the value. Alright, so this deck does feel like it's doing strong things. I think just kind of tweaks around. I think I would like the Gix command just as a sweeper. I'm not sold on the Black Suns. I think it's too mana intensive, and you already have other ways to reanimate. So I think just going Gix command would be reasonable. And then I'd have to play more games. 25 lines might be sufficient. But I think at the very least I would trim a Glissa and go up another land and then switch this to like Gix command just to have the access to the sweeper. Maybe another threat main could be reasonable. Maybe just like another underdog, or just I guess like that's reasonable. I don't love having so many legendaries here. I do think maybe just having Trespasser is probably the line. So like as a start, like trim, trim, go to trespassers. Could be reasonable. And then just kind of go from there. But let me know what you think in the comments. It's bringing out some new decks. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.